You are in town, among other things, to go to a Democratic meeting of Hancock County Democrats tonight.
Correct.
And what is your position or interest in their labor subsection that's going to be the topic tonight?
Well, a core idea of ours is that one of the things that has driven our economy in the wrong direction and our communities in the wrong direction has been free trade, which is far from free. And when we look at commerce, we could correct problems around the globe if we simply said that every import sold here had to have a green certification and a fair labor certification. So in other words, if I buy this table at a Sam's Club, and if it's sold here in this country, I can be assured that it's made with some decency toward the labor that made it and with some significant environmental safeguards so our planet doesn't get polluted as a result. And so I spoke at the state Commerce or Trade Commission hearing about a month ago in South Portland, and it was fortuitous that the timing of this tonight was also the same. So my interest in that is that it's a critical issue, and for a variety of reasons. One, foreign policy, we're seen as an imperial power quite often, not simply because of our strength of arms, although that's certainly part of the reason, but also because of our economic practices. An American economic hitman is a label that's used a lot outside of our mainstream. And so if we had if we had trade that was based on some decent rules that supported people and the global environment, and we could be sure that this isn't being sold at $49 because somebody else is abused or because all the waste was dumped into the stream, which is bad for everybody. But on the flip side, maybe we'd make more of these things here, which would make more sense for the environment, for our communities. It'd be more of a level playing field. So when you look at issues to leverage, you say the race toward delivering the cheapest product to market since for a long time now, across the last 25 years, has really, by just looking at the bottom line in terms of dollars and cents, has really undercut our future dramatically. And you look at all of our jobs that we've exported. It's not just terrible for our own communities. It quite often isn't good for the places in which these things are made.
Of course.
And so, if we can change that one issue, it's a huge leverage point. Then all of a sudden, our mills that are making a 5 or 6% profit here would be less in a hurry to leave. One, they'd be making more profit. Two, it wouldn't be so easy to go someplace else and take advantage of the lack of law there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my interest in that is keen, or it's a core issue of ours.
Do you have any overview thoughts about why the U.S. economy is in such terrible shape today?
Sure. Our dependence on fossil fuels, we have not only allowed it to continue, but we've encouraged it. And you look across the decisions that we made and how we've used fuel and the cars that we make and the cars that we don't make. And if we had followed Jimmy Carter's lead, back in the late 70s, today we would have a thriving solar industry and a thriving windmill industry. And I just put a new furnace in my house a few months ago. I'd love to go geothermal or something else that would be clean and strong. There's no support to do, or very limited support to do that. And so it didn't happen as much as aware as I am. So within our economy, we've focused on short-term profits in the status quo, and the people that hold the most cards quite often have very much vested in fossil fuels, and the government hasn't shown leadership, and let's lead toward a future that is sustainable. And so fossil fuels is at the heart of that, and along with this globalism issue that I touched on a minute ago. And the greatest return on shareholder value isn't what's necessarily good for Ellsworth, for Yarmouth or Freeport or Lebanon. And it might show up in our 401k as, oh geez, we got 16% this year, but what are behind those numbers? And ultimately, we'd all be better off if our portfolio returns, not that I have one, but were a little bit lower, and our communities are stronger.
Well, so you're anti-greed.
Yes, very much.
That's a unpopular position.
It isn't if we can show people that it's doable to do business differently. I think that quality of interdependence or principle I mentioned earlier. People are working more than they've worked in a long time in this country in terms of number of hours per year. And we're leading very busy lifestyles. And a lot of people, everyday people, are just struggling to get through the day or the week and paying their bills. And and we've been led to believe that nothing else is possible. You know, the way things are, 100 million people in this country live either in poverty or one paycheck away. And we're all kind of vaguely aware that that's a big issue, but how much should we see in the forest of the thing? We can rearrange our economy and our economic priorities, and it doesn't take a revolution. It just takes, and one of our metaphors in the campaign is, if you're on a 1,000-mile journey, you change course just 3 degrees, you change your destination by 52 miles at the end of 1,000 miles. So if we took next year, the three of us could decide here, we're going to take 2.5% of military spending minus anything that went to the VA. That's $25 billion. And we're going to take that $25 billion and make block grants available to every municipality that wants to apply for one at zero interest for them to develop their local agricultural community, develop their clean local energy, or help their local industry. Think of what that would mean to towns in Maine that are struggling. Don't have. The woman we met with this morning, her town ran out of money to plow, so she went off the road this morning. Potholes are turned into huge, craters.
I'm sure you discovered that in your travels.
Oh yeah, more than once. But the town ran out of money. So in the richest country in the world, towns are struggling to a point where they can't keep up even with winter. And so imagine if we diverted some of those resources to create support new industry, clean energy, local farming, local solutions to national problems. All of a sudden, there's a spark in all these places, and people are less quick to leave them. In fact, they might even move back. And so my point is, doing the right thing can be great business. And too often we put those, I think they're in two different cups. But the great news out of all these problems that we face, foreign policy, global warming, education, is that if we invest in the problem, we create not only a better future, but we also create a better now, because we vitalize our communities and our economy. So the most profitable thing in the long run is doing the right thing.